Hello everyone, this is the Kafrene Fleet Combat Mission. I'm here to guide you on a walkthrough on how to do one of the alternative fleets here on this mission, which is the Home One. The primary fleet, which is Profundity and Rogue One, you should do if you have access to the full Rebel lineup. However, some folks are forced to give up Profundity units, or even Hosmel and Falcon or Outrider this phase, so they are gonna have to use this video to help them complete the mission on a relatively consistent basis, because the only other option to use on this fleet combat mission is the negotiator lineup, and that one is a literal coin flip on whether or not the AI is going to let you win or they're going to just go to town on you. This fleet, however, is not 100% consistent nor as easy to use as the Profundity with Rogue One. However, it is at least 75% reliable. There is some RNG due to who the B-Wing calls at the start of the battle. If the B-Wing calls Ravenclaw, that is actually the bad RNG. It could also call one of the three other ships, which is better RNG. The reason why, if B-Wing calls Ravensclaw at the start of the battle, then why that's a bad thing. The reason why is because Ravenclaw will get Foresight. With Foresight, Ravenclaw gets 50 speed. And with that speed bonus, it easily outspeeds other Rebel ships. So when Akbar gives everyone 100% turn meter in the master plan, Ravenclaw goes first, and the enemy don't have target lock. And what happens is, when Ravenclaw does its initial turns at the start of the battle, it's not calling anyone to assist. So you're missing quite a bit of damage potential there. And any damage less than the best on Scythe means that Scythe could survive. And this fleet is a glass cannon. So if somehow Scythe survives the amount of damage you deal it, then what happens is it will take a turn and wipe out your entire fleet very, very quickly. Scythe obviously is being targeted for kill because it provides offense and health for the enemy, and it also keeps the team alive. So if you can kill the Scythe, you basically have this mission in the bag. They might get a few turns off on you, and hopefully you should still be able to win pretty easily and comfortably by then. So the particular Home One lineup that we use is the one with Rogue One in the starting lineup. I typically have it on the first slot, because that way in a mass assist such as the Ghost or the Home One, it gets called first before the other ships, so it can inflict target lock, so that when Ravenclaw does its assist, it is able to call another ship to assist. Generally, that's the mindset. I do have in my reinforcements Phantom, Cassian Z-Wing, and Rebel Y-Wing as the three best ships in case this battle does go south. Hopefully it doesn't get there. Hopefully in your runs you will not call Ravenclaw to assist. Maybe in this video I can show that to see kind of what happens when you do get bad RNG, but generally speaking, if you could get any other ship besides Ravenclaw to assist at the start of B-Wing, the battle's going to go pretty smoothly for you. Now, I do have in mind, people do comment that I do have relatively high relic levels on my ships, especially my B-Wing having relic 10. I will say it's less about the relic levels and probably more about your crit chance if it does get to that point. Alright, let's begin the battle. So the first thing you have to do is bring out the B-Wing. Now, notice how you have 4 ships that have defense up. All of them could be called to assist with the first special from B Wing, and the RNG happens whether or not you call Ravenclaw. That is honestly the best ship you can call, which is Rogue One. The reason why Rogue One is the best ship because its basic hits 3 times. It does absolutely amazing damage on enemy team, and its basic also forces an unresistible target lock. And that's key. The key word is unresistible because these enemies have very high tenacity. So if something in their kit says it can inflict a debuff, if it doesn't say unresistible, chances are they're going to resist it. And that target lock is very important because it's going to call, when Ravenclaw does its turn, it's able to call someone else to assist. As for now, right here, Ravenclaw takes its turn, it's got the speed bonus, and on its basic, it can call a random non-scoundrel ally to assist. You would be missing that if it was called to assist by the B-Wing during B-Wing's first turn. So if we're going to do the basic, it does more damage against the Scythe. It didn't call the best ship. I would prefer Rogue One, obviously, because the Rogue One hits like a bus on its basic. And see that? You saw it calling the Ghost does 40,000 damage. You saw it call Rogue One, and it does 150,000 damage. Isn't that crazy? I do the AoE here, and it's nice because it's somehow inflicting evasion down, even though that is resistible. And now there is still defense up on my team, particularly either the Ghost or Rogue One. I'll just do the second ability, and maybe I can call Rogue One to assist. Oh, at this point, I would do the basic here just to make sure that the Scythe dies. And that's just good habit if I just keep on doing the basic to make sure he dies. However, with Scythe being at that low of a health and, Rogue One taking a bonus turn after this from Master Plan, there is definitely a call for AoEs. I'll still do the basics, even though that is more of a waste at this point. Just to show you how it should be done. And then once Scythe is dead, they lose offense and they lose a bit of health. And at this point, you can use the AoEs to sort of wipe out the side ties so that they don't taunt. And then, as you can see, this is a very good run because Rogue One got called to assist a lot. Usually you need all the turns to be used up to kill Scythe. If you get bad RNG, if you get good RNG, you're basically at the stage already. But bad RNG runs expect you use every of your initial turns at the start of the battle to kill Scythe. So in this case, I will call Rogue One to assist. I'll probably target this TIE fighter, simply because it's the stronger TIE fighter. The side TIE fighters are typically weak and probably could be killed off. So call Rogue One out of good habit, so that Rogue One, it only calls 3 ships to assist. You definitely want Rogue One to get called to assist because it does a lot more damage. Excellent. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and do an AoE. Does a bit more damage overall. Alright, since there is a target lock on the enemy, we're going to go ahead and do a basic. Excellent. Everyone's ability block. What should we do? Assault formation. Give them offense. And by this point, you have 2 options. I'll bring in the Phantom right away. Massive damage, massive damage, massive damage. Boom. There you go. I think the enemy took like 4 turns, 5 turns. They didn't get many turns in. This is why this fleet is very reliable. As you can see, I was able to even get 3 turns after Scythe gone down from the initial salvo, but with bad RNG, let's say you don't call Rogue One to assist, chances are you're gonna need every one of those 3 bonus turns to finish off Scythe. And that is your first and only objective. Because once Scythe goes down, then this mission is very easy to do. Alright guys, that is all. Good luck on your missions.